we're going to make an octopus. I'm using earthenware clay, and when I do an octopus, I like to make the tentacles separate, and then I make the head like a little pinch pot. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. Just take a lump of clay, and I roll it around and around, kind of roll out the bumpy edges. It doesn't have to be perfectly shaped into a round ball, but just get it kind of rounded. And then we're going to hollow it out. I use earthenware clay, which would blow up in the kiln if we left it solid. So I'm taking my thumb and opening it up so that there's no thick parts in there where air pockets could be trapped. If they're trapped in there, they could blow up in the kiln. So, hollowing it out quite nicely. And there we go. So that'll be the head. And an octopus is very fluid in the water, and so however you make the head is fine because their head and tentacles are constantly moving, like I said, very fluid. So then I'm going to take another piece of clay and cut it into 4 even parts. Squeeze it. I like to squeeze it in my fingers first to get it started into the coil shape, and then roll it out into the long tentacle shape. And I taper at the end, so I only cut 4 if you notice, because each of these lengths is going to be 2 tentacles. When you're rolling out earthenware clay, sometimes it dries out a little bit as you're working it, so you can also spritz with water your canvas covered board, and then it rolls out much more easily. To show the texture of the little suction cups on the bottom of the tentacles, I like to just use a little tiny piece of piping that I had cut from the hardware store. You can use an opened up pen because they're hollowed. You can use a pencil. You can use whatever you want to add whatever texture you like. I'm just bouncing, bouncing, bouncing across the surface to add that little texture. I've got it tapered at the ends to make it look a little bit more like the tentacles because they get narrower at the end. And then I'm just going to skip over to use the ones that I've already done. They're already textured underneath, so I'm going to crisscross them. Now anybody who's worked with earthenware clay knows that you have to score and slip, meaning scratch and wet. So I'm going to take the wire brush, dip it in water, and scratch and wet very thoroughly where I'm overlapping the tentacles. Mash them together good, and all of this will be hidden underneath the head. So that's going to be fine. Kind of like I'm making a spread out long petaled flower. Ooh, that'll be the next video. No, I'm kidding. That's not the next video. Okay, so then we're going to put the head on. Okay, so now this octopus has the head kind of rolled back and you can see the tentacles already forming. This one has the head kind of rolled forward and the tentacles are sitting underneath the head. I'm just going to do one like the one I just showed you. So I'm going to scratch and wet, score and slip the head on to the tentacles then. There. And I'm going to give it some eye sockets too. I'm going to just push in, and we can exaggerate that a little bit if we want with the handle of a tool. And then make some little beady eyes. Their eyes are so weird. They're kind of round balls actually. They look kind of open inside. So we're going to make that. Scratch and wet it. And then indent it. I think I'll use a pencil to indent it. Kind of eerie looking. And yet kind of fun. Kind of cartoony and comical looking actually. Okay, so then it's all attached, but I mean this looks more like he's in a starfish position. So now I'm going to start to decide how I want the tentacles curled about to make him look like he's in the water and just kind of floating and enjoying his space and time and existence. There we go. Ooh, that's kind of fun. There, give them a little curly one at the top. And there, now. I like that. So now I'm going to just scratch and wet them into position. Just tiny bit. Not too much. If you scratch too deeply, it's going to cut right through the tentacle. I've done that. Those I don't have to scratch and wet. Those will just dry where they are. And there we go. Thanks for watching.